Hey YouTube, Jethro here. You know, this is no new video for me. I've done a lot of them on the rabbits and stuff, but I just wanted to make a quick hit on, some questions about raising rabbits in town. You know, I've had this going on for a long time, done a lot of trial and error, so I'm going to try to go through this quick, keep it sweet, and to the point. Basically, this is a homemade hutch, 24 inches deep. It's 8 foot long. It works just fine for the males or females that you haven't been breeding, or for raising your babies on out. You can have 2 or 3 small ones in each cage. And that's about all it's good for. Learned early on, for an actual cage that's 8 foot long, it's only 24 inches deep, you really need to have only a 2-bay cage for mamas to have their kits in and to be able to kind of halfway raise them up. For most of you that want to do this small time, or you know, you're limited by space, this will be an excellent cage for a pair of mamas. And you build a cage, if you had enough room, you could build one more to keep your buck in, and then have one long run in there to finish your kits out to a butcher stage. I do them pretty cheap, man. Tarps are cheap. They last for a couple years. They're only like $4. So, you know, when I frame them in, I do put a wood top on it, a thin wood top at that. But I use a tarp for my covering, and it keeps my rabbits dry. Plus, come wintertime, you know, if you don't put the backing on it and you actually just put a wire back on it, come summertime, you can lift that tarp up and it gives plenty of airflow. Come wintertime, you can just put a board behind it, and basically you give them a wind block from direction, wind block on each side, and if you need to, you can put plastic on the front. Underneath ain't going to matter, just as long as they ain't got a direct solid wind on them. Rabbits are pretty darn hardy. The other question I had was about chicken pens in the city, or a small space, and get to where the mist ain't blowing in my face. And I'm going to show you kind of an idea. I mean, I got a good sized chicken run, I got plenty of land, but if you want to have somewhere between 4 and 6 hens, I think you can go with the space about 10 feet long and 5 to 6 feet wide. And I use 2x4 weld wire for my main part of my pen. Now down here at the bottom, you're going to see chicken wire, and this one helps chicks keep in if you have a mama that broods. Number 2, I used a 36-inch wire, and what I done was, from the ground out, I just cut the grass right next to the ground. I staked my wire down. I bent it to a 90 all the way down and staked it down. So I've got wire actually all the way out to about, from the pen, I've got it about 18 inches out. 12 to 18 inches, I can't remember exactly. But what that's going to do is your grass grows up through it, you can mow over the top of it, and when critters come up to get in your cage, if you got cat problems or anything like that, usually they're going to dig right at the base of the wire. Well, they're going to keep running into that chicken wire, and they give up and go to a different spot. You're going to know something's trying to get in there long before they ever do. Living in town, you do have a problem with cats. You know, usually if you have a full-grown chickens, cats ain't going to mess with them too much. It's whenever you got the chicks or a smaller banty breed, bantams, that you're going to have a problem with the cats. You know, they just see they can overtake those. So what I recommend in town is, like I said, probably a 10-foot stretch long, 5 to 6 foot wide, and that would allow you to actually put a weld wire top over it. You know, a 5-foot tall pen, that's more than enough for the chickens. The chicken house itself, now guys, what I started out with was, this was the size of my chicken house, okay? It was 4 foot in width, and the expansion on that was, I took my front of my pen and went ahead and ran 8-foot boards the full length, so I could have an overhang in the back and I could have an overhang in the front. Really, this is kind of overkill for 4, 5, 6 hens. If you're going to have 5 or 6 hens, you could actually go with a 4 foot wide, you know, 6 foot long, whatever width of your cage is going to be. And you don't have to be, but probably about 5 foot tall in the front, 4 foot tall in the back. Build your door and build your boxes to go on the outside. It got a couple legs to go on the outside of your box, and then you only have to have, for those 6 hens, you only need a couple nesting boxes on the outside, and then you can have the back part of it built with kind of a, I'll show you this. Ooh, the little witches, they busted an egg. Get back. You know, you want to build a apparatus kind of like a chicken roost like that, and if you'll put that in one corner of your pen with just a couple nesting boxes in there, that's going to be plenty of room for, you know, half dozen hens. As far as winter goes, you're not going to have to worry a whole lot about it. You know, these are production layers for the biggest part. I got the black stars, the red stars. These grays, I'm not exactly, they're a slate or something like that. This year I am going to go in and get me some more heritage breeds. I really like buffs, and the reason is if you're wanting egg production, go with a production layer. You can do the red stars, you can do the black stars, these little gray slates, the white leghorns. They are excellent layers. You're not going to get meat out of them. You can eat them, sure. They just aren't a big, heavy, fat bird. But you know, in a small confined space, usually you can't raise enough chickens to eat. So, you know, you go with something like this, so at least you get eggs. And these chickens are pretty much bred to turn grain into eggs pretty good for your small operation. If you hang a light, if your chicken house is close enough to the your house, you can run a drop cord out to it and put a light. It does not have to be a heat lamp, just any kind of light bulb hung up in there. That extends your daylight time, and that will allow them to lay more into the winter, as opposed to mine, to where I've got them out here and I don't carry that light. When the daylight hours go down, the chickens pretty much go near to their molt stage or dormant cycle, and they won't lay an egg for a month and a half, 2 months, or I might get one here, one there, but nothing fantastic. Last few days it started warming up. We started having sunshine before this crap hit, and I was getting a dozen and a half a day. You know, they just automatically started kicking in. The thing about your heritage breeds, or your Dominickers, your buffs, they don't lay as prolific as the production layers, but they're a more cold hardy chicken, and they lay throughout the winter a lot better. As far as they lay more regular, you can figure out their cycle. You can figure you're going to have eggs. The rabbits, as you see, I got some New Zealands. I've got a black New Zealand. I believe that's what they said it was. I've got a California cross, and then I've got a couple just cross bunnies in there. And you know, the New Zealands seem like they're pretty good mamas. They do some good baby laying. The babies grow pretty quick, good eating. The crosses as well, you know, that for a confined space, they do an excellent job. They're content. They do like being petted. They're pretty friendly. Those are the ones that I've stuck mostly with. I did have, oh God, what was that one? It was a giant. God, it had a funky name to it. We're talking 13-pound rabbits. And they was all right, but you know, I had a hard time getting them things to breed, and really for the time I had to feed them and stuff, I just didn't get my money back out of them with the babies. I cannot remember the name of those. I had those about 3 or 4 years ago, but these have been really good breeds for me. So that's just some quick tip information on, you know, small farm chicken. You know, like I said, the run 10 foot long, 5-6 foot wide, you know, 4 foot deep by 6 foot chicken house. It don't have to be but about 5 foot tall in the front, 4 foot in the back. Give yourself a little slope so rain will shed. A chicken box that you can check from the outside, plus have a door to go in and be able to clean it in the roost. That allows you to put a top on it real easy. That keeps all varmints out. Let's see. Yeah, the other thing on that is you see the chickens that I've got in there. I mean, they keep that space heat up, and you'll see that I've got a lot of, well, there's some extra grass and stuff there. Well, each time I got to clean one of these bales of hay up, you know, I take all that hay and I scoop it up and I throw it in there and they scratch it. Well, if you got a yard, of course you're going to have a yard. When you cut your grass, if you let it grow just a little bit taller, cut it and rake it and throw it in there. They love grass clippings. That's going to be a good thing for them. If you got neighbors that bag their grass clippings but don't use them for mulch or anything like that, you know, talk to them about being able to get some of their grass clippings. That'll keep your chickens pretty much building up the ground. It'll give you compost later on to put on your garden. It'll give them good nutrients for eating down. Grass is full of nitrogen. The chickens will break it down. They eat it. You know, and that's a way to keep your pens a little bit better as far as in wet weather and stuff. As far as the rabbits go, you see these nice piles underneath. Buddy, that's free fertilizer that goes straight on the garden. You know, when I come out here and I see a nice big pile of it, I get a wheelbarrow full. I go out and I just sling it across the garden. I don't take a whole lot of time to let it break down. It breaks down right where I throw it at until it under, and I plant right on top of it. It's pretty hard to get it too strong. I wouldn't say you can't do it, because you can see it's burnt grass right underneath it. But you know, you see right next to the crap, grass just takes off. I mean, it's just, and vegetable plants do pretty much the same. So I hope this was short enough. I hope it gives some information. And for anybody that wants to start a small backyard flock, that wants to start rabbits in a confined space, you know, I invite you to holler at me, give me a message, PM me. And if you have any questions, something I can actually physically show, or you know, do something on and give an idea about, I am more than happy to do that. I think it's a worthwhile, well worth investment. So Jethro out. We'll catch y'all later.